All right, Patriot Football League 2050 offseason. El Paso earned $4 million this year. Dayton earned $5 million. Carolina earned $6 million. Mesa earned 8. Indy earned 8. And Colorado earned 10. We start with the best team in the league. They are forced to roll the offseason chart, and then, of course, they can spend money to try to rectify any problems, or if they need to hire and fire coaches, etc. So we start with them. And we work down to the teams that are losing teams. The losing teams do not have to roll the chart. They have a choice not to if they don't want to mess with their team. And so I do the losing teams last because let's say the 3 winning teams suffer and we get to El Paso and they're already a 1-2. They might choose not to gamble on the offseason chart. They might spend money to improve something if they need to, but they might avoid that offseason chart and actually be sitting pretty if the other teams suffer. So that's one of the benefits of being the worst team, a losing team, is you get to see how the better teams shake out before you make a decision. Winning teams must roll the chart and accept the results. They can then buy re-rolls to try to fix those things. Losing teams get a free re-roll if they choose to roll the chart. So a team like El Paso, in my opinion, a 1-2, this team should have been a lot better. I mean, it was just, they were in a tough division against, they had to face Colorado 3 times, 3-2. So, 3 of their losses come to 3 of their 9 losses came to one team, right? Okay, so you can see what I mean if they roll this offseason and choke. Also, for those who don't know, I invented an advanced offseason roster team creation where you make players, you rate the players, you tally those offense and defenses, and that gives you your ratings. And there's also an offseason process that you put the players through. I shared that with Brian. I believe Brian has been playtesting that and working on it for a future add-on to Play Action Football Express. However, so I'm using the retirement and advancement rules, but I'm not using the individual ratings. So I still rate the teams. So the players are ultimately a name with they get an allocation number, they have a name. And then they're going to either be rookies, peak, or veterans. Once they're rookies, they automatically become peak the second year. They stay a peak until they roll that they become a veteran. Once they become a veteran, every year they roll to see if they quit. So there can be guys that stay in the peak category for a long time. There can be guys that stay veterans for a long time. But your odds of retiring once you're in the veteran category are pretty significant. Okay, so that's how it works. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the must roll for Colorado. So the Coolers, back-to-back champs, coached by Jack Shaw. Kingfisher is in his peak. Jordan is a veteran. Rhodes is in his peak. Jordan was a rookie, and then he went peak. And before I started last year, I rolled. He became a veteran. So Jordan already thinking about quitting football in only his 4th year. Kingfisher's still in his peak. Swanson is a veteran. Boone is a veteran, and Wainwright is peak. Oscar is still in his peak despite the fact that he's in his 8th or 9th year. Keynes is still in his peak. So the guys can be, 10, 11, 12 and be in their peak. But once they go to veteran, their odds of retiring every year go up. That's how that works. So first off, let's roll to see what happens to Colorado. This is the must roll for Colorado as a chance to really affect their ratings. This is where Colorado could suffer greatly. And we're going to roll a 3. Offense +2. So their offense is +2 means they get to go up to if they were a 1. Right? Let's see here. No, that is their offense. So their offense technically goes down. So Colorado's offense would become a 2. Their defense is already a -2. I think Colorado could live with that. They would be losing 1 point. Wouldn't have to spend any money. They're not going to fire their coach. He's just won back-to-back championships. He's won 3 in his. He has 3 total championships. He's won back-to-back. They might want to move. See, Yoy is a 95-85. The chance that they're going to roll a 1 or a 4 on this chart. But Yoy missed 4. He left 4 points on the field in the championship game. I think they're going to give Yoy another year. 95-85 is damn good. So they'll give Yoy another year. Okay, and let's go ahead. So they're going to stick with that. They're not going to spend any of their money. And that, by the way, that money is not banked. It's lost. But they don't have to spend any. They're not going to fire their coach. They're not going to get a place kicker. They don't need to change any of their abilities. But let's roll to see if Kingfisher becomes a veteran. He does not. So Kingfisher stays in his prime. Does Jordan retire? He does. Holy cow. So Jordan retires. So Colorado is an offense 2, defense -2. They're damn good, but they did lose a little. Now we know why. Jordan retired. Holy cow. So he caught 11. He has scored a total of 13 touchdowns. He ran for one in the championship, caught for one in the championship. He already had 10, so 12. He had 12 TDs last year and retired. So Jordan got his ring. Jordan got a ring in his last year. So Jordan got 2 rings. 2 rings, and he left with his best season ever. He retired. So Colorado loses Jordan. Rhodes is peak, and Rhodes will go to veteran. So Rhodes becomes a vet. So Rhodes becomes a veteran. Swanson is a vet, and he retires. That makes sense. He's in like his 12th year. Retires, right, with 4 rings. Let's see. I think Swanson 3 rings. So again, that's going to put him, and he also was the offensive receiver of the year twice. So he's probably HOF, I would think. Boone is a veteran, and he does not retire. He stays a veteran. Wainwright is peak, and he's peak 1 to 3. He actually becomes a veteran. So Wainwright is now a veteran. So they got a couple of guys now that may retire anytime now. Reed is peak. He becomes a veteran, so their punter, Reed, is now a veteran. Yoy is still peak, so it was worth keeping Yoy. Jackson is peak. He stays peak. All right, Tapper is peak. This guy's been around a long time. He is going to become a veteran finally. Tapper's technically in like his 10th year. I think he has 4 rings, but he's finally a veteran. Robinson is a rookie. So rookies automatically become peak. So all my rookies I'll just make over to peak. Keynes is peak, and he becomes a veteran. Ooh, Keynes. These guys now, after winning a few rings, are rookie. Oscar, he's peak, and he stays peak. Holy cow, Oscar, going into his 11th year, I think 11th or 12th year, is an absolute monster. He is definitely HOF when he retires. He's still at peak. McDaniels is a rookie. So there's Colorado. They lose an offensive rating because, and that makes sense, right? Narratively, Jordan, their running back, and their top receiver, Swanson, call it a day. Jordan, as a young man, only in like would be going into his 4th year. Jordan retires with 2 rings. That's crazy. Comes into the league and wins rings, bang, bang, and then retires. Rhodes becomes a veteran. Swanson retires after 3 rings. I think Swanson, again, was in his 11th year. So there's Colorado, done. Okay, so let's check off Colorado. Remember, we got to do all the teams that must roll first. All right, Indianapolis, who were the runners-up, they had a good season. Let's see what happens to them. They must roll. They have $8 million to spend. 10, their defense goes up to a -2, so they'd be a 0 -2 automatically. So their offense 0, defense -2. So they already lost the defense. That's what it is now, and I can buy a reroll. We're going to do that. So we're going to buy a reroll. They'll have $4 million. Trying to get that offense up. So remember, they're a 0-2. Whatever I roll, that's what replaces the old rating. 8 is roll again. They get to keep rolling. So they're negotiating with free agents right now, trying to improve that offense. 7, no change. Damn, so they're a 0 -2. So this is a team that really could not move the ball and managed because they played brilliant defense, and their defense actually slipped. Well, you know what? We're going to spend that money one more time. And the reason I say that is they don't need a new place kicker. And Benny Leonard, they're not going to fire. So we're going to spend that last $4 million for one more roll. I want to roll low. We're trying to get 5 or 3. They want a 5 or a 3. No, 8. Roll again. They want a 5 or a 3. 4, 5. There it is. Offense +1. How about that? +1 -2. So Indianapolis ends up nailing a free agent offensive player or drafts. Holy cow. Good for Indy. That is brilliant. So Indy is going to go up, folks. Indianapolis, they lost some defense, but they would trade, I think, a little of that defense to be a +1, -2. That is brilliant. All right, and again, let's go ahead and roll through their players out of necessity here. McAllister stays at peak. Dupree stays at peak. Soames stays at peak. No, Soames becomes a veteran. Soames becomes a veteran. He's their fullback. All right, Wells, who's a veteran, retires. So their stud receiver, Wells, retires. That makes sense. That means they're going to draft a rookie. That may be where they gained, right? Johnson, peak, becomes a veteran. So their tight end comes peak. Howard stays at peak. Schoner stays at peak. Polk stays at peak. Holmberg, Holmberg becomes a veteran. Their kick returner, Holmberg, veteran. So he ages this year. Brown is a peak. Brown becomes a veteran. I'm going to have to make a note here. It's probably easier if I just note it on the card. Brown, veteran. Lundry stays peak. Bevins, who was their best DL, becomes a veteran. Sweeney becomes a veteran. Sweeney had a sack in the big game. Tyson, who's a stud, he's in his peak. And 3, he becomes a veteran. Oh, say it ain't so. The man could possibly be a Hall of Famer. He's already a veteran. So it's taken a toll. He had 15 box score points in 15 games. He averaged a box score highlight per game. That is truly unheard of. He is probably going to be a Hall of Fame just for that. Reynolds becomes a veteran. Damn, so all their linebackers are aging. They have a veteran. Stone could retire. He does not. So luckily they don't lose Stone. Wilson stays at peak. Johnson. Oh, Johnson ages into a veteran. So their guys are aging here. It was a rough year on them. They gave their heart and soul to win that title and didn't happen. Doyle becomes a veteran. And last but not least, their Carlson rookie becomes a peak. Remember, with rookies, you just make them from rookie to peak. They automatically go into peak without a roll. Well, Indy's done, and folks, they improved. We're going to have a rookie replacing Wells. And that'll make sense. That's why their offense goes up. Let's go rookie receiver. Rookie wide receiver. What would be a good name? How about Grabowski? Grabowski, how about that? Rookie receiver. That's where they get that +1. So Indianapolis drafts a young rookie, Grabowski. There we go. Very sweet. Indy's done. Colorado's done. All right, the last winning team that must roll the chart is Mesa Machine. Mesa's going to roll a 5. Their offense goes up one again. Once again, their offense was already a 3. It can't go up to a 4. They're going to retain this incredible offense. But again, at the expense of a horrible defense. They have $8 million. I am tempted to roll. Yeah, we got to give them a chance. They're going to spend $4 million and attempt to get that defense fixed. 5. Offense goes up 1. They just do not want to improve their defense. I'm going to spend their final $4 million. Fortunately, they haven't lost any offense. 2. Defense -2. What the hell? Oh no, Mesa. Offense 3. Defense -2. They are now the best rated team in football. Holy cow. It cost them all of their money to do it. But Mesa is what an amazing offseason. That means they definitely, Mesa Machine must have drafted. So they retained that 3, and then they made 2 rolls, at continuing to add to their offense, which they couldn't do. The final roll, they secure a -2 defense, and now the Mesa Machine are absolutely the team to beat. Holy cow! And they have only 1 rookie on their defense. So I'm going to assume something. These guys just mature. Remember, O'Donnell was a Rookie of the Year. Who led the league in defensive lineman Rookie of the Year. So I would imagine part of why, since these guys are all peak and veterans, they probably just matured into a tight unit. I do have to roll for their retirements. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Andrews is a veteran. He might retire, folks. He does. Oh my God. Quarterback Andrews retires. So how do they keep that 3? I don't know. But he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Andrews for sure. Holy cow. Parker does not retire. Willis becomes, so their fullback. Willis becomes a veteran. Parks, their superstar receiver of 12 years, stays. Oh my God. Realms becomes, so their tight end, Realms, becomes a veteran. Royce becomes a veteran. Their flanker, Royce. So they're going to keep everybody intact except their quarterback. So they're going to draft a rookie quarterback. Royce becomes a veteran. James stays peak. Kudrick ages. Place kicker Kudrick becomes a veteran. And Wilkie becomes a veteran. Ooh, their return man Wilkie becomes a veteran. Oh, wow. Okay, so they're going to have to draft. So somehow they maintained their +3. That could just mean that Parker, late in his career, is just going to have a big season. I don't know, but either way, their defense improves. So Greg, what happens to their defense? Greg stays peak. O'Donnell becomes, O'Donnell, DL O'Donnell automatically becomes peak. Clark, veteran. Clark, veteran. Victor, it retires. O-D-E, Victor. Retires. So that may be another reason they improve on defense. They're going to have to get a rookie. And we're going to have to get a rookie quarterback. Wow, so Andrews, who led the league's top scoring offense 5 years in a row, won the world championship of Play Action Football Express Football. Unfortunately, could not win a league title, but he is going to be a Hall of Famer, what he did. Wow, so they lost Victor. Norris, they lose Norris. Holy cow, their left linebacker, Norris, retires. So now we're seeing why they improved. On defense, they're going to be bringing in some fresh young men who are probably faster. Norrell goes, so their middle linebacker becomes a veteran. Mangum becomes a veteran. Their right linebacker, strong side backer of Mangum, came over last year in the big free agent pool. Harris, their cornerback, stays a peak. Borghese, dang, cornerback Borghese becomes a veteran. Robards is in his peak. He stays in his peak. And Colburn could retire. He does not. Colburn stays a veteran. Now, the Mesa Machine, they're going to be drafting a rookie quarterback and 2 rookie defensive players, and that's going to account for them maintaining their offense and improving their defense. Outstanding. All right, now we move on to Carolina. They were not a winning team, nor are they a losing team. So they do not have to roll the offseason chart if they don't want to. They have $6 million. They can choose to re-roll it and get a free re-roll if they fail because they are not a winning team. But because they're not a losing team, they can re-roll it, but they don't get a free re-roll because they're not. So they can choose to ignore this, but if they have a bad result, they have to pay for a re-roll because they're not a losing team. So they are quite literally in the middle of no man's land with Doug Harrington. They're at 2-0. They went 6-6-2, but 2-0 really was because they were facing that Eastern Division. I think they should make the re-roll. They just don't get a free re-roll, but they got $6 million if something goes wrong. They're going to roll. They're going to roll the offseason chart. 9. They're going to go defense -1. Holy cow, folks. They have just become shite. And they are not going to re-roll this. There is no reason. They have just added a -1 to their +2 offense. Carolina. Let me get to Carolina. Outstanding. Carolina is just improved. Carolina offense was already 2, and they've just added defense -1. And they will not spend that money. They do not need a new place kicker. Taylor, now they might need a new place kicker to be coming as a rookie. I would just roll that if we lose Taylor. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and check, because if Taylor retires, then we're going to want to roll until we get a good place kicker. Nope, Taylor's going to stay, and he is good. Look at that, man. I cannot believe it. There it is. Carolina with $6 million. They do not need a new coach. However, would they have fired a coach and went 6-6-2 without a defense? I don't think they would. I think they'd keep Doug Harrington. He's a champion. They've got a second year. They've got a quarterback that moved into peak last year, and he ended up playing very well, being the third best quarterback in football. We got to make the rolls to see if any of these guys change. So does Olsen become a veteran? He does not. Does Swink become a veteran? Uh-oh, one of the league's top backs is now aging. He's a veteran. Is Cole a veteran? He is not. Is Simmons a veteran? He is. So Simmons, their wide receiver, becomes a veteran. Martin, does he retire? He does not. Does Roland retire? He does. So their flanker hangs it up. Roland retires. We're going to need a rookie in here. Okay. Poole, does he retire? He does. Their punter hangs it up. Poole retires. They're going to need a new rookie punter. Does Taylor retire? He does. Their plate. Oh, no, I already rolled Taylor. He did not retire, so we're good there. I already rolled him before in case they had to spend money. Keith, their return man retires. Keith retires. So they're getting a lot of young rookies here on offense. They'll have 3 new rookies. Special teams rookie and 2 offensive rookies. And Swink aged. Okay, Taggart. Taggart doesn't age to veteran. Janes ages to veteran. So DT or NT Janes is now a veteran. Reynolds becomes a veteran. Wow, DE Reynolds. So they're aging. Maybe again, as they mature, they're aged into a better defensive unit. Beathard ages, so their outside left linebacker Beathard is a veteran. Does O'Leary retire? No. Does Bottas age into a veteran? No. Does Kleinhaus age into a veteran? No. Son of a gun. That's why they're better. Their 3 linebackers stay and age. That's why their defense improved. Does Norris retire? He does. So their cornerback, Norris, retires. They're going to have at least a rookie at cornerback. That will explain why their defense improved. Marshall does not age past peak. Does Fist age past peak? He does. So their free safety Fists is now a veteran. And does Benson age to veteran? He does not. So that team definitely improved. It makes sense that they grabbed a couple of rookies on offense, a new rookie special teams man, and they will get a rookie corner. And that rookie corner with some maturing defensive players makes sense why they are a 2-1. The Carolina Devilfish obviously want to win another title here. Wow, outstanding. Okay, so Carolina improved. We are now looking at Dayton. This is a team that earned $5 million. They are losers. They do not have to roll this at all. They can just stick with this 0-3. But I think they're going to want to go for an offense, and we're going to roll for them. This is a free roll, and they get a free re-roll as a losing team. So 8, they're going to go roll again. They get to roll anyway. They're negotiating. 7, no change. Okay, so now they get a free re-roll before they even spend that money, and they're going to do a free re-roll. 4, they're going to see their offense go down 1. They can't. So now they have to buy a re-roll. And that's what we're going to do, trying to improve this offense. They're going to have $1 million left. They can't do anything with $1 million. And here we go. They need to improve that offense. They want a 3 or a 5. No, 11. Their defense goes up 2. Oh my God, Dayton's in deep trouble, folks. So Dayton's offense was 0. Now their defense is -1. Oh Lord, Dayton. It's going to be a rough year for Dayton. Shoot, I spent that money. I should have just left them at 0-3. Poor John. Oh my God. All right, let's go ahead and see who quits and retires here. Does Wallace should retire. He doesn't. Does Robinson retire? He does not. Does Norman retire? He does not. Does Hollis age? He does not. Does Andrews age? He does. So they're tight end. And now we see what's up. Their tight end becomes a veteran. Why there's still a 0 offense? None of these guys want to move on. Davis, does he age? He does not. Oh my God. Coleman ages. So their punter becomes a veteran. Their place kicker becomes a veteran. Uh-oh. So their young Smith is already debating on a short career. Their return men do not age. Holy cow. All right. Does Gibson age? He does not. Does Walther age? He does. So their DT is now a veteran. Does Grantham retire? He does not. Does Bork age? He does not. Does Jacobs, their stud, Louderbeck, their stud outside backer, does not age. Does Jacobs in his peak age? Does not. Does Dow's as a veteran retire? He does not. Does Doyle retire? No. Does Martin's age? No. Does Bravo, their best DB, does he retire? No. And Miles, does he age? Yes. So their final strong safety ages. Well, there's your problem right there. Their offense doesn't improve. Why? Because none of their players want to leave. Their defense gets worse as they basically, the guys that are in their peak stay in their peak. The guys that are too old and should leave don't. And now we see why Dayton is stuck at a stalemate. And they had $1 million, but there's nothing they can do with that $1 million. Literally, Dayton. Oh, poor Dayton. A 0 -1. They're going through a rough couple of years here. So Dayton's finished. Last but not least, El Paso would be a 1 -2. We are not going to make the roll. I wouldn't change El Paso now because you're looking at in the West, they've seen Colorado dip in offense. They've seen Mesa get really good at 3 -2. They would be 1 -2 in the league. That's pretty good. Now I could make the roll, but if I mess them up, I just don't think they're going to want to gamble. They're a 1 -2. If the dice had fallen a couple of different ways, they might have been winners. They're in a tough division, man. Colorado is 2 -2. Mesa is 3 -2. They're a 1 -2. But a 1 gives them something. And that -2 really helps bring down Colorado and Mesa in the division. I think they got to leave it alone. We're going to leave El Paso alone. We just got to check age now. El Paso is going to ride this horse one more year. Why would you mess with something that ain't broke, right? All right, Morris, he's in his peak, and he does not age. Does Rodriguez age? Yep. Uh-oh, their top back. Their running back ages to veteran. Does Crawford age? He does. Uh-oh. Their fullback is now a veteran. Watson, he is now a veteran. Their wide receiver ages to veteran. O'Shea, the punter, ages to veteran. O'Shea, their tight end, is now a veteran, so they're all aging quickly. Erickson ages, their flanker is now a veteran, so they're all veterans on offense. Their punter doesn't age. Kanisi doesn't age, and Crawford doesn't age. So how about that? Their entire offense ages to veterans, which means next year they could all be retiring. Zorch is a veteran. Does he quit? He does not quit. Does Jones is a rookie? So all these rookies become peak. Valdez, does he age? He does not. And last but not least, does Fuentes age? He does. So their free safety becomes a veteran. And the rest of those rookies become peak. So they're going to ride this roster into the next year. And our off-season, folks, outside of me rewriting these cards with their new people and their new stuff, and we are not going to see any coaches for the first time in history. We will not see a coach fired. He's got $4 million. Why would you hire a former coach of the year, Tom Hansen? However, they might want to change their run heavy. They've got Rodriguez. Morris. No, I mean, they got Rodriguez. He's now a veteran. This would be, and Rodriguez now every year on a 1 or 2 could hang up his cleats. So I think they're going to stick with a power running game. That's it. Off season's over, folks. Let's go ahead and jot them down. Colorado, CC. Offense 2, defense -2. In this division is the Mesa Machine. Offense 3. And this just won the championship, -2. Colorado won back-to-back championships with 3 -2. Now Mesa is the team in the league with a 3 -2. If they choke on that, the El Paso Caballeros are 1 -2. So this is a incredibly defensive league. Okay, then we got Carolina Devilfish, the CDF, the Carolina Devilfish offense. What happened to Carolina? Carolina 2 -1. I cannot believe. I think every single team in the league has a negative defense. Carolina, which is good. Indy was the runner-up. Their offense improved 1. Their defense stays -2. They did slip a little on defense, but they did exchange it for a little offense, which instantly makes them more interesting now in that division. And last but not least, the Dayton Triangles cannot get any of their aging offensive players to hang it up. They don't have the guts to just fire them all, so there it is. And Dayton's defense ages into a minus. Dayton aged into a minus, went from a -3 defense to a -1. This is the worst team in the league with still a negative defense. Unbelievable. Every single team in the league has a minus defense. And all but one team in the league is going to be adding it to this. Is an amazing professional league. All of them get some joy from great skilled players and good offensive weapons, and all of them are playing good, sound defensive football. Dayton is the only team that could be, this is one of these teams that next year, if they're going to be like 1 and whatever, they'll be drafting a rookie quarterback that hopefully will change their plight. But there it is, folks. That's going to be the 2051 PFL. 2051 PFL. There are your teams. El Paso's riding the same horse. They're hoping they can improve. Unfortunately, they've seen Mesa improve greatly on defense. They've seen Colorado come down on offense. The CDF has added defense to a pretty damn good offense. Indy has added offense to a pretty damn good defense, although they did see their defense slip a bit. And Dayton has crumbled into the dregs of the league. Thank you for watching. Good day.